Hari Om. Greetings, everyone. This is our second in a series of audios discussing the pearls of wisdom contained in the South Indian classic scripture, the Tirukkural, by Tiruvalavar, the Holy Weaver. The topic this week is hatred. Keep in mind that any discussion of hatred includes the varying intensities and forms that hatred can take, from mild to medium to extreme. One of the noteworthy aspects of Tiruvalavar's teaching on this subject is that he concludes his exposition on a sudden and inspiring note, which we'll get to in quote number 4. But first, we will begin by taking a look at the dictionary definition of hatred. A state of mind colored by spite, envy, or malice. Note that these three mindsets are breeding grounds for hatred. We'll begin with spite. Spite means to deliberately hurt, annoy, or offend someone. And why would we want to do that? One reason is envy. Envy is defined as discontented or resentful longing aroused by someone else's possessions. It's a craving we get by comparing ourselves with others. It's a form of mimetic desire, which is a desire that ranges in intensity from wanting to have what another has, all the way to wishing to be that person. The problem is, if we don't obtain what we desire, our mindset can easily move into disappointment, coupled with feelings of things not being fair or just for us. This resentment could be projected onto other people that we see as almost enemies. If the situation is allowed or encouraged to grow, the stage is set for a mindset that looks very much like what we envision hatred to be, malice. Malice is the intention or desire to do evil. It's the result of a desire being thwarted, of being resentful for what someone has. It could also be fear of being harmed by those we consider the other. These are like strangers, people different from us in race, gender, faith, tradition, or sexual orientation, for example. The third generator of malice is fear of losing possessions or positions of status, power, or influence. We can see a lot of this is based on fear. So to understand Tiruvalavar's take on hatred, we'll highlight 4 of his sayings. We'll proceed to the first quote, which presents a warning regarding hatred's nature to spread like an epidemic. It is said that hatred is the disease that spreads plagues of discord among all living creatures. I'll read it again. It is said that hatred is the disease that spreads plagues of discord among all living creatures. He's not limiting it to human beings. One of the hallmarks of hatred is that it can look so strong, really powerful. And actually it looks stronger and more powerful than it truly is. The reason we think it looks so strong is we see evidence that hatred, anger, and the violence that can emerge from it disrupt, hurt, and divide. Yet, hatred lacks the power to bring light and wisdom. It lacks the power to give life, to enrich life. But still, the feeling of strength given by hatred can be addicting, making it particularly hard to overcome. But still, there's another reason why hatred is difficult to come. It offers what seems like a very simple solution to the problem we have with others. We just simply destroy what we hate. Once we reach our boiling point, there is no inner reflection to determine if there is any fault of our own that contributed to our hatred. Neither are there any deep, sustained attempts at understanding or negotiation. We just want to eliminate, get away from, abolish that which causes hatred in us. Again, we can see the relationship between hatred and fear. The next quote tells us what begins to happen as hate is overcome. It is the joy of joys to bury hatred, the evil of all evils. And again, it is the joy of joys to bury hatred, the evil of all evils. In what may seem like an odd way, hatred is almost like a flip side of joy. The reason that's so is that we so much wish to have a life of happiness, but we keep missing the mark. Too many of our happy victories are short-lived and ultimately not satisfying. But we have this strong desire for happiness. And once we direct it in the proper direction, that strong desire can be a catalyst for change and growth and joy. When we get to the fourth quote, this will become even more clear. Now we look at the third quote, in which Tirukkural gives us the inspiration to examine and overcome hatred. What we'll find is that as we overcome hatred, we gain actually great power. And it's a greater power than the false power promised by hatred but never delivered. And what's hinted at here in this following quote is that by overcoming hatred, we gain the power to overcome all vices and shortcomings. Here's the quote. Can anyone overcome the one who has conquered hatred? Can anyone overcome the one who has conquered hatred? Armed with our understanding of hatred and the inspiration that comes from the knowledge that overcoming it strengthens us, preparing us to live a life of joy, we're ready for the fourth and last quote. It's a sharp departure in tone and content from the others. Something wonderful and unexpected happens to the brave seeker who overcomes hatred. It's nothing short of a miraculous event. And here's the quote. From love, the joy of a righteous life springs forth. From love, the joy of a righteous life springs forth. There's not even the word hatred in this saying. It's evaporated through the power of selfless love. And what's happened is that all along in our spiritual path, as we struggle to erase even the faintest traces of spite, envy, and malice, as we did this, love, pure and unconditional, began emerging and finally bursting through. But we have to remember that love was always there within our hearts. It was just obscured by hatred in its various forms. And these forms include uneasiness around others, impatience, not caring, ignoring others to avoid our discomfort, avoiding anything that's unpleasant to us, and of course the spite, envy, and malice that we've discussed so far. So we come with a moral at the end. The moral is that love is the antidote to hatred. And love isn't a feeling. It's not an intensified state of liking. Understood fully, love is fidelity in friendship. It is resolute loving kindness extended to all beings. It is caring and working for the welfare of others. It is loyalty. Love is unconditional. It is uncommon kindness. It is empathy and compassion. In a world plagued by fear, mistrust, ignorance, and lack of understanding, let us always remember where true love resides, where true power resides. Let us all resolve to be radiators of love. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May the entire universe be filled with peace and joy, love and light.